Hi everyone, welcome to this information session. My name is Amy Ahern from Acumen. If you're just joining us, you can feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box and just confirm that you are able to hear me clearly. So hi again, everyone. If you're just joining us, my name is Amy Ahern from Acumen. We will start the session in just about 1 minute as soon as we give other people a chance to log in. But if you are tuning in now, you can feel free to introduce yourself in the comment box to the right and just confirm that your audio is working okay and that you are able to hear me clearly. And then, like I said, we'll get started in just a minute once we have given everyone a chance to join and log in. Hi, Christian. Glad to have you joining us. And for anyone else who is just joining, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box to the right. We will also record this session, so for those who are not able to tune in live, or if you have to leave early, you can expect a recording to your inbox. Great, so I will go ahead and get started now. Welcome to this information session for the Data and Technology Earned Income Accelerator, which is being organized by Acumen in partnership with Open Society Foundations. My name is Amy Ahern. I am an Associate Director with Plus Acumen. We are an online learning platform that is affiliated with the nonprofit Acumen, and you can find more of our free online courses on topics of social entrepreneurship and leadership at plusacumen.org. But in today's session that you're tuning in for, I want to focus on providing you with some more information on this new accelerator program that we are running. This is an 8-week-long program designed to help nonprofit organizations, specifically those focused on data and technology, develop a new mission-aligned revenue source for their organization. And we are accepting applications from organizations around the world. In this program, participants will work through hands-on exercises to develop an idea to generate revenue, begin to size their market and understand how many potential customers they might serve, understand the financial viability of the idea they're pursuing, and then begin to test it with real customers while receiving feedback from coaches and peers from other nonprofit organizations. This program will leverage a curriculum that has been developed by Acumen and used by many nonprofits around the world over the last year. And then we are adding some custom case studies, content, and expert interviews specifically designed to help data and technology organizations or nonprofits pursuing data and technology business models take into account the unique considerations that those models might hold. So if you haven't already seen it, you can learn more about the program and find the link to apply at datatechaccelerator.plusacumen.org. And I'll refer back to that page. But the applications are due February 28th. And like I mentioned, you can find them here. You might be wondering what type of applicants might be best suited for a program like this. We are primarily looking for people that want to do 4 different things. So 1, you should come from an established organization. And roughly, we say that you should have had at least 3 years of operating history. And the organization should have roughly at least 5 staff. We do evaluate applications on a case-by-case basis. But the primary thing to keep in mind here is that this program is not suited for developing a brand new organization. It is instead designed to help established organizations who have some degree of stable funding add a new or additional revenue stream. You should be working to incubate a new earned income stream that will directly help you achieve a social impact mission or subsidize core activities. So a key component of the curriculum is making sure that your business model is mission aligned. We are looking for people who want to seek out peer community and are willing to give and receive feedback from peers across the nonprofit sector and learn from each other. And finally, we're looking for individuals that have an entrepreneurial mindset. That means you will be open to using entrepreneurial approaches like lean startup methods, but you may have had limited prior business training. So those are our key selection criteria. If you're wondering what types of earned income models organizations typically pursue when going through a program like this, here is a sampling of what we have seen other nonprofits incubate throughout this 8-week-long experience. So they do things like identify new paying customer segments for existing products or services. They may be packaging an organization's expertise as training or curriculum that can be offered more broadly, or prototype a fee-for-service model to sell their expertise and insights to other organizations, governments, or potentially corporate clients. And we anticipate that there will be lots more ideas and innovations that come out of the data and technology cohort in particular, and we are curating some case studies that will highlight different innovative models from across a variety of fields. This is a sampling of the organizations that have participated in this Accelerator program in the past. We want to highlight that organizations come from across the world and many different contexts and sectors. We have had large and small organizations participate and work on a variety of ideas. And the interesting thing has been to see the commonalities in the challenges they're facing and also the ways that their innovations and their ideas can be shared with people working in very different contexts, but perhaps pursuing similar business models. Now I want to give you a sense of the curriculum that you would work through if you were to participate in this program. So as I mentioned, it is an 8-week-long program. It kicks off with an orientation the first week, and we help you start to understand the data and technology assets that your organization might have and start to map out what those might be. Then we will get into the social enterprise mindset, and you'll hear advice from data and technology experts specifically. And these will highlight some of the ethical considerations that you might need to take into account as you pursue data and technology business models in particular. Week 3 is where we get into customer discovery, and we actually help you get out into the field, talking to potential customers and starting to identify the main problems they're trying to solve and how you could align those with a value proposition that you design through your product or service that you'll be prototyping. In week 4, we help you map your organizational core, and the idea there is to identify the unique assets and strengths and capabilities that your nonprofit already possesses so that you can build a mission-aligned business model that is going to capitalize upon that value proposition that you already offer as a nonprofit organization. In week 5, you get into the financials of your idea and start to size your market and understand how large a customer base you could realistically serve. And you'll also begin to develop a financial model along with Acumen coaches to help you get an estimate of your realistic costs and then project out the revenue that you might be able to achieve if your idea was piloted successfully. And so that you can begin to get a sense of what your profit margins might be as you begin to look at the implementation of your new product or service idea. Then in week 6, we'll ask you to take a component or dimension of that idea and bring it to life in the form of a minimum viable product or a prototype and get back out in front of real customers and begin to test it again to assess the desirability of your idea in the marketplace. In week 7, we will help you begin to understand the funding landscape and identify if you will need to seek any philanthropic capital or other investment capital to get your idea off the ground. You will be helped to find champions for your idea and finally put it together into a pitch deck or a lessons learned deck if you have come to validate or invalidate different components of the business model you're developing. And then finally, in week 8, we have a final showcase where we bring in experts who both know the nonprofit business side of things and might also know data and technology specifically to give you some external perspectives and advice on the project that you are hoping to carry forward. So that is the basic structure of the curriculum. It is built around this framework from the design consultancy firm IDEO, which posits that innovation happens at the intersection of desirability, feasibility, and viability. So throughout this 8-week-long experience, what we are helping you to do is walk through a set of hands-on exercises and assignments to develop an idea that addresses these 3 components. It will hopefully be desirable to your end customers, feasible for your organization to pull off, and viable from a business and financial perspective. One of the things we have been told by participants is most useful for them in this curriculum is the practical case studies that have been compiled from interviewing organizations from across sectors who have pursued nonprofit earned income streams. And we aim to document both some of the success stories and the truly unique models that they have pioneered, but also highlight some of the pitfalls and potential shortcomings that others have run into so that you can extrapolate lessons from those other organizations and apply them to your own work. And we will highlight case studies from a variety of sectors and then also include some that are specific to data and technology focused nonprofits as well. In addition to the case studies, you will gain access to a set of instructional videos that are hosted on a platform. These you can view at your own pace, and up to 10 other people from your organization can all access this online curriculum so that you will have a variety of perspectives and advice to incorporate as you develop your idea. You'll also gain access to workbooks, tools, and dashboards that will help you complete the exercises and assignments each week. And then perhaps the most fun part of the experience is that you will show up for a weekly 2-hour live learning lab, which is hosted on the Zoom video platform, where you will take part in live case study discussions and go through a series of peer coaching exercises where you will get to trade ideas and feedback with other nonprofit innovators who are working on data and technology business models. So here are just a few screenshots of what this looks like in action, but you can see that we have participants from a range of organizations all around the world. So it enables some very robust discussion and feedback and new perspectives on the business models that you are pursuing. And then each week, you will also receive written feedback from peers and coaches on the assignments that you upload, so they can prompt you to look further at different dimensions of your project. And you will have access to everyone else's projects and ideas that they are working on in an online assignment gallery. So you can really get a sense of some of the other exciting data and technology business models that other nonprofits are pursuing. And finally, if you complete all of the assignments and the 8 weeks of the experience, we do issue certificates of completion. And then you'll have ongoing access to the curriculum portal and a peer community and a series of learning labs that we make available to alumni of the Accelerator to help them continue to move their work forward once they return to their organization. So you might be wondering what has happened to some of the participants who have successfully completed this program. I wanted to share just one brief story of a participant who completed our first cohort, so you can start to get a sense of what her experience was like. This is Carlotta, who worked for the Hunger Project, which is headquartered in New York City, but she was working on many food insecurity projects across sub-Saharan Africa. Throughout the Accelerator program, she worked on developing a 3-tier fee-for-service model to sell the Hunger Project's training and consultations on their methodology to other governments, multilateral institutions, and NGOs. She ended up selling some of their first engagements during the Accelerator, and then is working on an updated offering that will be rolled out in 2019. But you can see on this right-hand side, this is a screenshot from the real prototype and website that she developed. And so she walked away with a very tangible product that she is able to put in front of potential customers, and got a lot of feedback on this prototype from peers and at other nonprofit organizations that helped her really refine her value proposition and ultimately translated into some early sales and income. We do not guarantee that everyone walks away with a fully profitable, functional business model at the end of an 8-week-long curriculum. That does move very quickly, but hopefully what we enable you to do is gain the structure and the tools to test an idea quickly, and then the ongoing network of peers and the methodology to continue to refine and develop that over time. As I mentioned before, organizations should have one lead participant, and this is generally the person who submits the application and participates in the interview and will be really positioned within the organization to lead the development of this idea. But then up to 10 people from an organization can also access the curriculum and complete assignments together, which organizations have found very helpful if you're ultimately going to need many different stakeholders or people from across the organization involved in ultimately executing your earned income initiative. So here is the timeline. We are asking for applications to be submitted by February 28th. And like I mentioned, they can be found at that website that I highlighted earlier. We will do interviews between now and February 28th, and then for a bit after on a rolling basis. And so once you apply, you will receive a confirmation that we have received your application. And then if you are selected, you will be notified to schedule an interview. That will be a 30-minute phone screen where essentially we will provide you with more information on the program and also get a sense of the earned income initiative that you are hoping to develop so that we can mutually make sure that it is a good fit and that you are prepared to put in the time to get this initiative off the ground. The Accelerator itself will run May 7th through June 25th, culminating in that final showcase that I mentioned on June 25th. People often ask how much time they will be expected to spend during the actual Accelerator participating in this program. And we typically estimate that you should be able to dedicate at least 6 hours a week, which we know can be challenging in the context of a busy nonprofit organization. But that will entail 2 hours of showing up to that live learning lab every week, and we will schedule that time based on where the majority of participants are located so that it is in a time zone convenient to everyone. And then about 4 hours of time is what we'd recommend for going through the curriculum materials independently on the platform and completing the assignment either individually or with your team at your organization so that you are ready to show up prepared for that learning lab conversation. So in general, we'd recommend that you should be able to set aside at least 6 hours a week, but keeping in mind that some of that workload could be split amongst different participants on your team. So with all that said, here is the email address if you do have further questions. I'm happy to take them now, and I will stay on this webinar for a bit in case anyone has specific follow-up questions. But if you do want to reach out or need more information, this is our email address, accelerator@plusacumen.org. We will also be sending out a recording of this session and are happy to be in touch as you consider whether this program is a good fit for you. So with all that said, I will open it up to questions now, and I'm happy to send any more information your way. And just to be clear, you can put them directly in the chat box, which is located to the right. If you click on that chat icon, you can feel free to submit questions. Don't be shy. Otherwise, we're also happy to accept them by email. A question from Beth. Can you share about how this accelerator will be made specific for data and technology organizations? Thanks, Beth. That's a great question. Yes, so we are doing that in a few ways. The first is to add additional case studies from a few different organizations that have specifically pursued data and technology ventures and created business models that either incorporate data and technology or are built around insights that have been gained from data and technology. So those case studies will be highlighted. We are also interviewing a variety of experts who have unique perspectives on data and technology business models to make sure in particular that the ethical considerations that come with developing a data or tech initiative are addressed and incorporated through the early stages of developing these new ideas, along with some startup coaches and others who have worked with entrepreneurs directly to develop these models to make sure those practical considerations are also taken into account. So we will both be customizing the content, and then the peers who you will be interacting with will be coming from data and technology nonprofits. So we'll hopefully be well suited to provide you with tailored feedback based on their own experience working in the data and technology fields. So those are the two primary ways. Christian is asking a great question on what iteration of the program this is. So right now, Acumen is running our 4th cohort of the Earned Income Initiative. We have had about 100 organizations at this point go through the program. This will be the first time that we customize it particularly for data and technology organizations. But like I mentioned, it is the same core curriculum, and then we are adding the case studies and expert perspectives from data and technology organizations in particular. So if it's helpful, we're happy to follow up with more stories or information on what some of those other participants in the past cohorts have pursued. But like I mentioned, we have had people from around the world go through this program at this point and are continuing to adapt it to meet their needs. And then let's see, do you find that very specific tools or more general fee for service works better? That's a great question, Christian. We often see that participants initially come into this program wanting to develop consulting models or something that would require very bespoke customization for each of the kinds of customers that they'd wish to serve. And while that is a potential business model that some of them still find promising, ultimately what we often see is that busy nonprofits end up being quite resource strapped if they are trying to develop custom fee-for-service programs for each individual customer or client segment. So we'll often encourage them to start with something like developing a specific tool or a product, like you mentioned, that could be sold to multiple customers without much customization. And then only after they have developed that client base or found a promising market, then do we encourage them to bring on the resources that could support some of the fee-for-service or more bespoke consulting kinds of services. So I hope that answers your question, but let me know if not. It's a bit hard to make generalizations without knowing the particulars. Great. So those are all excellent questions. I'm happy to take any others as they come in. Otherwise, like I mentioned, you can always reach out on email and we will be sending a copy of this recording. There is also some frequently asked questions contained on that landing page where the application can be found. Perfect. So at this point, I would just want to thank you all on behalf of Acumen for tuning in today, and we look forward to reviewing your applications and seeing some of the exciting business models that you're working on. So thanks, everyone. Oh, one more good question from Christian. Thank you. How many applicants are we looking for? At this point, we are targeting a cohort of around 12 organizations to participate. Great. Well, I hope that helps to answer some of your questions. And like I said, feel free to reach out. And we will hopefully connect with you all again soon.